Here we are, just about to start insulation the later end of this week, but I thought I would walk through. Here is the first build. This is the way we've been building them every time, with this look and this elevation look. And I might or might not walk in there because they're basically the same, but I'm going to walk through this other one. This is the newest look. I think I like it that much more. It just looks a little bigger. But let's go in and walk through. I'll show you a couple of things. So this is that little cutout area right here that we're putting in a little, I think it's 7 feet of workbench. And then right over here we leave 4 feet so they could put either a shop toolbox or a fridge. But I noticed right here, I wanted underneath the bench another plug here and another plug here. So there's little X's there that they're about to add those. It's roughly a couple of dollars to do it right now. So as we're walking in, here's where, of course, the electric fireplace. I was looking, like I said, with this new elevation, they can go up just a little bit higher on the vaulted ceiling because they've got more room the way the roof is. Maybe about a foot or so. I'm not certain exact, but it sure makes it look more substantial. You can see the cans already done, and actually all the air handlers already put up in there. A couple of years ago, they changed the regulations on running the insulation for the vents, and it did raise the price a little bit because they put more insulation around the vents. But as I was walking through, I looked at a couple things. I made a couple changes just actually a few minutes ago. We're going to block up here. I always block it roughly at that 6.5 feet. We're going to put another plug up here with blocking across so that they have places to mount their TVs, that they have wood to mount in there that much easier. And I did the same thing over in this other bedroom where he marked it. So we missed that when I always walk through this before they do all the sheetrock, and every now and then I'll find something that we missed or we need to add for another plug up here for the TVs. And you can see all the plumbing done, put in the tub. It's got to hold water so that it passes inspection. We've got all the niches put in. You can see this one here. So this is going to be right above the oven. We're going to have a little niche right here where they can put some of their spices. And you can see this wire right here and this wire right here. This is some of the special things, some little things I do that give it a custom look. This is for the undermount lighting underneath the upper cabinets. Costs a little bit of dollars, but it sure looks nice. And this is the way I do my builds. And then right up here, we'll do up in this ceiling here in the kitchen, some tongue and groove woodwork, stained wood that's going to be up on the ceiling here. And this is the base of where the island's going to be. Of course, here we can walk through here. This is, the master with the change of the windows. Still love it. You see 2 plugs on every wall. Walking into the bathroom, we do double sink, double vanity. This shower, it's a walk-in shower. I can't remember, it's about 4 foot across. I do it. You can see where I did the plumbing right there, so that the door's going to be here, so that when they're turning on the shower, if I put it way over here, they're having to reach in here to grab it. I think of these things ahead of time. I'm putting the shower head the shower right here where they can turn on the water from the door being right here. And you see that big niche across there to put all their shampoos. And that's 2 by 6, so it's going to have a good landing to put all their stuff for the shower. And then, of course, we build the tile work, custom tile work in here. And then the closet with a pocket door to save on space. But this is the walkthrough just before we're getting inspection done later this afternoon, and I think the insulation is coming maybe tomorrow. What we do is we spray foam up in the attic and spray foam up in those rafters up there so that somebody can get up in there and work. And it's actually not much different than being in the house, just slightly. and then we do all batting on the walls. Actually saves a little bit of cost. There's less from foaming everything, foam encapsulation on the walls, and we did spray insulation up top. We changed to foam up in the attic and batting on the walls, and gets the same insulation R factor. And then the one final piece is we have these all wired, and you can see it's wired for a 240 plug for all the garages that we do. Hope you enjoy. All right, let's go in. They just have blown in the insulation and are starting to sheetrock. So I thought we'd do a quick walkthrough for this video. You can see all the batting on there, and then up here, and I'll kind of walk in. You'll kind of see up there, there's the blown in, the spray foam insulation, and then the batting's on the exterior walls, but they've started sheetrocking. They started literally this morning, and who knows where they are right now. It's a Friday afternoon, so they might be done. But I thought I'd just show this, and when I walk through, I'm looking for, I've seen this happen many a time. Well, the sheetrockers will cover up some of the plugs. So I already know where the plugs are, and I'm making sure none of the plugs are covered up. Now up here, they've done the top, but so I'll be looking more later when they get down to the bottom ones. But you can see kind of what we do with the spray foam insulation all the way up in the attic, up into the rafters. This is good, and it seals it so that when you're working up in the attic, say with the water heater or the AC system in the summer, especially here in Texas, man, it would get super hot. But since this is spray foam up in the rafters, they could get up there and work. It's only going to be a few degrees difference. But you can see, so I'm looking up here, some of these ones up here at the top, they've got those cut out, and I'll walk through kind of looking at some of these bedrooms, making sure that those, where I know I put those plugs at that 6 foot height, making sure those are all there. But this is just a quick walkthrough once they're starting sheetrock, and then I'll do another walkthrough. But at least you can see some of the insulation, what we're doing, where it's all this batting on the exterior walls and the spray foam up in the attic. But that's the way it's done here. But that's it for this walkthrough. All right, everyone, I'm going to head in. They have now finished the sheetrock, but they've also put on the texture on the walls. They just finished up today, but I want to walk through what I'm going to do today. I'm going to actually be getting measurements for all the windows, for the blinds, because what I do is I do an order with Lowe's, and as long as you hit the $2,000 mark with a Lowe's Pro account, they send it to the bid desk, and you can usually save about another 15%. So I'm going to be going through getting measurements for all the blinds, because I'm about to be ordering the toilets, the faucets, the lighting fixtures, the blinds, all those things, and hit that 2,000 mark so I can get some additional savings. So let's walk through. So now you can really start seeing the definition. Here's that little space that we're going to put in that workbench, and where they can put their tool chest or an extra fridge if they need to. And you can kind of see a little bit of the texture that's on there. But here's the frame out of this is an electric fireplace. I was talking to the builder today. So up here on this mantle, we're going to try to get a little bit thicker piece of wood, either 2-inch or 4-inch, something more substantial, because we put in floating shelves right here between this window and that door, and we want to match that. But you can really start seeing the definition. Let me try to get over here where you can see some of that height. I know it's hard to see, but it's probably, I don't know, I'm not going to guess, but somewhere a lot higher. And you can see the box. This is where we're going to put in that wood accents with the beadboard or something like that, and we're going to stain it to match those shelves here that really dresses it up. But we can walk through, go to the master. There you go, there's those windows again, but you're starting to see that definition. We're going to actually, I don't know if you can see some of this. So there's that niche for the shower. We're going to do all of that shower there in a decorative tile, even decorative tile on the edges, and then we'll put in gold Schluter around it. So not only the decorative tile on the back of it, but even on the boxed part of it, it really finishes it off, what we do on this. And this, we'll have a different tile for the floor, a white tile for the majority of it. But then I also, and you're going to see it, I'll do a waterfall feature with that decorative tile that matches the niche area. And then once again, this one has a box in here. We don't do anything to the ceiling, but we do put all this recessed lighting in here. And just kind of walking through, because they just finished a little while ago putting in the texture for the rooms. Once again, you can see here with these two windows. And then we're going to, you'll see when we trim it out, and we'll put in a box. So actually this one, I think the box is going to be in the center. We'll do two levels for hanging clothes. And then walking through to the front. This is a 4-foot window, and it's going to have a great view to this multi-trunked live oak. That's just gorgeous, and so excited about that. But this one's going to be a little bit larger. We try to do as much as we can in these closets. So we're going to put the boxes here for shoes and stuff, and then do two set levels for hanging clothes. And then we put a little platform above the bar going across for additional things you can hang. But this is a decent sized closet. We did that in the master. We'll have boxes on both sides. This right here is for the washer dryer, but we're putting cabinets in. It'll have a little hanging spot here for the clothes. And then in here in that second bath, we always do one bathtub and one shower, and it's pretty dark in there, so I won't go in there. But you're able to see this, and that's, you know, the quick walkthrough, but we're making progress. We're actually we might be 45 days ahead of schedule, but things are looking good. So for this quick walkthrough. Hey everyone, Brandon here from B2R Investing and Financial Talk. Now that you've seen the walkthrough, I want to go through where we are right now. This is really the fully dried in stage. We now are going to begin, now that the sheetrock is done, next steps are we're going to put in flooring and then set cabinets, and then we'll begin painting. So the next stage you're going to be able to see quite a bit of starting to be some of the finished pieces, even with down to the countertops and the vanity. So, but I wanted to go through the numbers, finishing up here. So I pray that you have stewardship of the knowledge and money you're entrusted with. So let's get going. So like we said before, this is 1,730 square feet under roof. And what we're trying to do, I've done these builds multiple times. Previous build was around 207,000, and I have a strong feeling we're going to be hitting somewhere in that 3 to 4% in savings overall. But I want to go through these numbers where we are in the video series today. So with the roof, so that roof ended up costing us, for shingles, everything, $6,355, and per square foot under roof, $3.78. But a change that we made, and something special we're doing right now. And let me first talk about what we got. We got somebody to do the roofing material to roof it for $30 a square. Now 5720 ended up being 3 more squares than 5718 because of the different roof line. But something we changed was that we were able to do level 4 shingles, and there's a reason why we made this choice. For one thing, it creates kind of a protection, an underwriting of the reserves. If we're using level 4 shingles, which are 40 to 50 year shingles, they last that much longer and a longer period of time before I'm having to reshingle the roof. It ended up only costing us an extra $675 for the level 4 shingles. But one of the extra bonuses, which pays us back now, starting now, when we go to the final 30-year financing, getting that permanent insurance, I've talked to my insurance provider, and when we provide the document showing that with level 4 shingles were installed, he expects us to get a 15% savings on the insurance product. So this insurance product's been costing us around $1,800 to insure these single-family homes. So that 15%, that's several $100s in savings per year. Plus, we don't have to re-shingle the roof anytime soon. These are going to be lasting significantly longer than traditional level 4 shingles. So that was something we made a change. I wish I would have learned this before. When I found out the difference in cost being only $675, it really was a no-brainer to go with it. Not only not having to reshingle the roof anytime soon, that much longer than level 3 shingles, but the savings on the insurance, which pays us back the difference in just a few years. Insulation ended up being a little bit less, and like I said, from our original build in 24, before they had us, the regulations, the building codes had us spray foam insulation of the exterior walls and blow-in insulation in the roof. Now everything's flipped and changed. We're using batting type of insulation on the walls and spray foam insulation in the roof, the rafters there. One thing, I do like it because if you have that up in the rafters, say you needed to get up in the attic and do work on the air handler or anything up there, water heater where we have the water heater, it's only a few degrees difference than down in the house. So it does make it easy to get up in the attic. Here in the midsummer and here in Texas, if you didn't have it that way, it is scorching hot. But with the spray foam insulation, it actually feels very easy to get up there and not bad at all. But it ended up costing us $3,800 for the insulation. I always look at it per square foot so that if I'm doing maybe a triplex or quadplex and I'm looking at the bids, what's the cost in bids per square footage so that I can see if I've got a reasonable quote. But this insulation ended up costing $2.28. I do have the rough electrical, so in there I don't have the final per square foot because I won't put that in until the very end when I get the full electrical bill. But you saw the wiring that was put in for all the plugs, all the can lights, all that rough electrical is put in, and we've spent about $5,200 so far, all the way up to this point. The final piece will be final electrical and then connection to the main electrical. Sheetrock, the drywall, ended up being $6,900, $4.13 a square foot. It saved us $324. Here it saved us on the insulation $608. It's all these little incremental savings add up. In my spreadsheet, I have, right now it's 75 different line items. And I'm just going through some of the big line items. We've got additional savings that I think is coming, even with bids on the plumbing, when the plumbing has done top out so far, and that's from the slab out to the roof. That's called top out. The original bid was around $5,000 when it was $6,300 on the previous build just 9 months ago. So we've got lots of savings so far, but I wanted to line this out and then get to the next video. Stay tuned. Next one's really going to start taking shape. You were able to see the elevation. You've seen the windows go in. You've seen the differences between the 5720 and 5718 build, and how, you know, that 20 build with a little bit different roof line, it just looks a little more substantial. The materials for framing ended up costing about $1,000 more, but that was the main cost difference. Insulation was the same between the two. But I wanted to share these numbers and be looking for, I think I'm on series 3, looking for number 4 will come next, where we'll start seeing some of the finished product. Can't wait to show you. This ends up, I think it's going to end up being about a 6 series build with the final one, once we have at least the final numbers and the final with the 30-year mortgage. How does it cash flow? And what is the final savings? Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, ask a question, make a comment. I'll be happy to answer what I can. Till next time.